And here he is. He comes in with his leathers on each and every Monday night, just wrapping up all the footy action. 5-day, 5-night superstar, number 23, the gun, the number one special comments bloke here at SEN. Dermot Brereton's in the studio.
Evening and afternoon. What a day.
What a day.
Why
do you wear leathers for when you're riding a skateboard?
Yeah. Didn't you see Nigel Lovelace from Paul Hogan all those years ago? Nigel Lovelace, 11 years of age.
Yes. And we're really lucky, boys, because we've got a wonderful defender for the Carlton Footy Club who's also joined us, Michael Jamison. G'day, Michael. How are you?
Well, gents.
Jamo, I just saw you standing here before. Travis Cloke is about 4 times the size of you. How'd you feel standing next to him on the weekend?
And Michael's big.
Yeah, he is big.
Yeah, he's a big boy, Trav. A little bit intimidating, but you just have to come up with a few little tricks, as most defenders do, to try and combat him.
You must be delighted to finally have your body fit and healthy, because it'd be fair to say the last year or two haven't been kind to you fitness-wise.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you can't underestimate these days having a full pre-season. So to come in and stay injury-free, throughout the past few months certainly helps, and puts you in good stead for the rest of the year.
Just speaking of your injuries, it's the shoulder. I mean, do you have to protect that now forever? I mean, is that you're never going to be right in the shoulder, so you've got to sort of train differently or do something that just protects your shoulder?
Yeah, you do come up with little techniques with how to spoil. I guess I can't do the big volleyball spike. that I used to, and then it's just rehab. You can't, if you drop off that, then your shoulder will get weak and it's more chance to pop out. So you just keep doing those little things, and it tends to stay in.
I was talking before the game the other night, and we were chatting away about league footballs, what is expected of them, and I was saying how if you get a broken nose at work, you get a week off. You get a broken nose in footy, you come off for 3 minutes. You do your best to stop the bleeding. If it doesn't, you wrap tape around yourself. And if you don't go back out there, you're a pussy. You've hurt your shoulders. It curtailed your ability last year. I know I haven't done mine. People are staggered that I reckon I've got about 7 or 8 minutes sleeping on one shoulder each night, and I have to roll over onto the other. And that's for the rest of my life because of the damage taken. What's your body at? With your shoulders, is it like that? What do you have to compensate for in life that everybody else thinks, oh, come on, Jamo, have a go. What do you do? What is it like? Just tell the lay person what you put your body through and some of the things you have to deal with.
Yeah, look, it's probably not too dissimilar to what you said. You do notice if you're lying on the ground or something and you're putting a little bit of pressure on your shoulders that they do get a bit achy. But as we all know, that's the life of footballers these days, and some guys can run around, and play 200 games in a row and not get hurt, and some other guys, get injured getting out of bed. So we just have to, you just deal with that and, put up with, these little things, little inconveniences in life, because really on the other side of things, being a footballer is a pretty good job.
We mentioned Travis Cloke a second ago. He is a monster. He's huge. He's ruckman sized, but he has the physical capabilities to run like an agile forward. You walk out, what are you, about 194?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's bigger than you and heavier again. What's your starting position? What do you walk out and look at Travis Cloke? Do you say play off him, jump into him, play in front of him, body him all the time? What's your starting position with a man mountain like that?
Yeah, no doubt. You certainly have to go in with a really strong plan, against guys like Trav, and you sit down with the opposite, the backline coach and come up with that, and you identify pretty quickly that you don't want to get in a wrestle with Trav. We watched footage from the week before, and when guys tried to wrestle him, he just threw them out of the way. So, if the ball's coming in long and deep, you can usually hold off a little bit and try and jump, because the stronger guys usually can't jump as well. So you try and, put that in your favour. But Trav also, had the 4th most marks on the lead last year. So he's got that 2-prong attack. So the ball's a little bit further up the ground, you might start in front and try and chop off those leads.
Mike, you got the Tomahawk this week, I assume. How differently do you approach him than you did Travis?
Look, probably not too differently. They're sort of similar sizes. I think the way Geelong probably use it will be the difference. They tend to hit up their players a little bit more. So the Tomahawk might get on a bit of a lead, and I've played plenty on Podsy as well, and he's probably one of those traditional full forwards who really lead strongly at the ball. So they probably differ a little bit, and we'll have to be on our game.
Can I ask about the leadership group? You decided to stand down at the beginning of this year under Mick Malthouse. Was there any reason why you did that?
Oh, look, it wasn't an easy decision, and I spoke to a lot of people about it, but the thing I thought that I needed to do with footy club was, stay fit, stay healthy, and in turn play, some good footy. And I thought the best way to do that was to step down and focus, fully on getting my body right. And I thought that was the best way that I could, repay the club.
How much extra do you do when you are in the leadership group? Not only on game day, but throughout the week, are you doing extra appearances? Are you doing extra interviews? How does it work? And what has it actually saved you by not being in the leadership group?
Yeah, look, it's all that. It's extra meetings and extra media and just probably a lot of little things that do add up, and probably just, you don't want to sort of try and escape from it, but that little extra bit of pressure of being in a leadership group, you can take that off your shoulders and in no way probably stop being somewhat of a leader. You're not going to change the way you'll go around the club, so you can still be a leader and maybe just take that little bit of pressure off yourself so you can focus on getting the body right.
Michael, yesterday you guys held a smallish lead against Collingwood, and I reckon coaches will cop a loss if it's because of ability or lack thereof. They hate it when it's because of application and non-willingness to run. I reckon in the end Collingwood probably from behind outran you blokes. I don't reckon that would have sat well with Mick Malthouse. Did he give it to you after the game, or was he circumspect?
Yeah, look, Mick doesn't give it to us, but there's no doubt that was the reason. I think we showed...
Mick can actually talk to you. He's giving it to you, even though he's talking to you. He's got one of those attributes where you feel like he's just drilling you, and he's actually talking calmly.
That's exactly right. You look you dead in the eyes, and you know that he's coming down sternly, but he never yells and certainly loses control. But there's no doubt that we showed that we could match him for the first 3 quarters, and then to just get beaten probably from being outworked was really disappointing.
What has Mick brought? What has he brought to the club that you hadn't seen there before?
Oh, look, certainly a lot of experience. Mick's fully confident and comfortable with what he says because he's been doing it for 20 odd years. So, from bringing that experience, the guys know that when Mick's giving a direction, that you listen, and if you don't do it, then you'll be out of the team. We've already seen throughout the NAB Cup and early in the season that he's not going to be scared of dropping guys that have been there for a long time. So everyone knows when they're playing that they've got to perform, or they won't keep their spot.
I've got a weird little one for you. I know you won't put one player above the other, and you played on the big fella Cloke yesterday, and you might have the Tomahawk this week, and you're not going to say which one's better than the other, but if Cloke was to have kick to kick with Tomahawk, man on man to mark the thing, who'd win?
Oh, good question. I think if the ball was just put straight up in the air, then maybe Clokey. But I'll only put that down to he's been playing for a few more years and he might have a few more tricks.
That's a tough question, isn't it? He's got the Tomahawk
I wouldn't have answered that. Playing Tomahawk this week, I wouldn't have given an answer. Hey, Derby mentioned the NAB Cup. Probably the highlights for me in a pretty dismal NAB Cup were a couple of torps you let go. You going to pull one out in the home and away season?
Well, I've been meaning to, but I've been absolutely shaking them in the warm-up, so I've put them away pretty quickly. So if I can...
Why didn't you actually do it in the last 5 minutes of the game where they'd scored a couple of points and directly up the middle? I can't even remember who took the point kicking, but I thought, give it to Jamo and let him blast one up the middle. Who actually did do the point kickings in the last couple?
I can't recall, to be honest, but probably more because of the...
I think it was Gibbs, wasn't it?
Could have been Bryce.
Was it Gibbs?
No, and he went out to the right, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you need to go more direct. And
how many would you practice a week? Torpedoes, just for the sake of it. Yeah, for emergency kick-in situation.
Try and do a few, but the fitness staff are all over you these days. If you kick too many long balls, you get.
Don't tell me they're pulling you up. They're not pulling you up for that. They're not saying, you've got to limit your distance.
So you're coming in from training, you're 85 away from the race, and you think, I'm going to drill this torp and it'll roll on and go down the race. So we all have done that sort of stuff. Dipper used to commentate to himself, final siren's gone, 5 points down, Dippy a minute ago's got the ball on the back flank, torpedo. He'd commentate to himself going in. Tell us that when you have those fun shots, hey, Jamo. Don't overkick, mate. No, they don't do that.
No, not so much. But I guess They are very much on the on the stopwatch. So if you've only got 5 minutes to practice a few things, it's better spent elsewhere.
Now, Tom's called in from Caulfield. He wants to ask you a question. G'day, Tom.
G'day, fellas. Terrific show, Gemma. Good job on Saturday, mate. I just want to ask you a question. Matthew Watson, how far is he off? And I think he's the sort of guy who can develop up forward. Maybe if Dermy can also comment on that point. He's a man mountain, and the advantage he's got, he can kick. He's a great kick.
Yeah, he is. Look, Matty he's had a pretty impressive pre-season. He's bulked up again, and he's been working on a few little things that probably kept him out of the side last year. So he's improving well. But up forward, I think we've got some really good options, developing up forward as well. Like Luke Mitchell's another man mountain who's developing up forward. So I think we can keep
Sam Rowe.
And Sammy Rowe played well on the weekend for his first up game. So I think Matty can probably keep developing down back and hopefully come in throughout the year.
Just on Sammy Rowe, really important for him, but also just a great story for the club and what he's been through. Was he nervous in the lead up to the match?
He probably was, but you wouldn't have been able to tell. He's a really down to earth fella, Sammy, and it is a great story. But it's funny, if you met him on the street and you knew his story, but just speaking to him, you would have no idea what he's been through. Even last year when he was going through all his treatments, he never came into the club and looked sick or anything. He's just a real inspiration, and we sort of joke about it with him at the club that it is a good story. But to do what he's done, it's probably a little bit underestimated even that he this time last year he was having chemo and things like that, and he's playing on the G on Sunday. So it's pretty impressive.
A great story. A couple of returns this week. Heath Scotland will come back from his club-imposed suspension, but what about Jared Wade, Sean Hampson and Eddie Betts? Are they any closer to resuming?
Yeah, Shawnee Hampson's really good chance. He trained this morning, so he had his appendix out only a week ago. So if we could get him up, it'd be
that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, cut open, take the appendix out.
But that's like I was saying, if you went to the average place of work, we're here at Hyundai Yarra, and if you had your appendix, a couple of weeks off at least, and then I'll come into it fairly nice and easy. And we give him 7 days. Yeah. He'll be back on, and somebody's going to bash you.
I went to the races the day after I got my appendix out. What are you talking about?
Appendix out, Sean Hampson's training. What about Jared Wade and Eddie Betts?
I wouldn't have thought those two would come up this week. Wadey's getting closer every week, but he's so important that we've just sort of, really tried to manage him and get him right for the pointy end of the year. But he'll play in the next week or so, and probably the same with Eddie.
Juddy each quarter was starting off, and it looked like he had a run with Rowe, and it sort of dissipated thereafter against Swanee. Did Mick put it on him and say, you go everywhere Swanee does for 10 minutes, 15 or whatever it was? Was it put on him, or did he put his hand up for it, or how did it work out?
Well, Mick's not huge on tagging players, so he would have just said to Juddy to, start with him at the stoppages and then play your game. I'm sure he would have been more interested in backing Juddy in and knowing that he'd get the job done.
Was there one set play or one thing one structure you had last year under Brett Redden that was just completely shelved, and Mick said, you're never going to do that ever again?
No, certainly not. Look, there's all these, huge headlines made about all the different game plans and the changes that we've made, but in all honesty, we've only tweaked a few little things, and not a lot's changed. So I think we've adapted to it pretty quickly, but it wasn't from structures and things as we spoke about why we've lost. Last week it was just that work ethic, I think.
Well, a tough start, 0-2 to start the season. You got Geelong this week, then West Coast, then Adelaide. It's a tough start of the year. It doesn't get any easier. Michael, thank you for joining us, and good luck with the rest of the season.
Well done.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks.